Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, gunners across this fine land. It's been a week since we've been together. Lots has happened. It's Monday Madness. Let's rock and roll.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Good evening, boys and girls. I don't have my usual equipment, so if my sound is off, so be it. We're back together again, and here is my podcast brother from another mother, Mr. Super Kevin Campbell.
Hi, squaddies. Hi, squaddies. How you doing? Welcome to Monday Madness. I hope you're all well. I hope you had a great weekend and a super Sunday. Let's go, Soph. At ease.
At ease, everyone. Okay, so here we go. We've got 33 fivers. We've got Lone Star in the house. We've got our Chief Like Officer. We've got Suraj. We've got Guna Russ giving shout outs. We've got Lynn. We've got Demsek. We have Liz. 63 touches. We're going to get into all of that with Super Kev right now. Thanks for everyone who's joining us this fine evening. Hope you're well. It's been a crazy trip so far, Kev. Here I am with the fireplace behind me. It's -6 outside. How do you all cope in this cold? How do you live?
Oh, God. Hey, Sophie, don't knock it.
I mean, I don't mind it, but
yeah, all right. Yeah,
it's
get
taking
out
its
of
toll
it.
on my skin and myself. Oh my God. All right, let's just get stuck into it, Kev. A massive result this weekend, the Arsenal march on. I mean, an incredible time to be an Arsenal fan. It just keeps the same narrative every week. Arsenal need to be tested. You know, we beat Liverpool, we beat Chelsea, you know, we've beaten Tottenham, then we go on and we beat Manchester United, a resurgent team. We got a point against Newcastle, the best defensive team.
And we should have beat them.
Yeah, we should have. Yeah.
But you're not always going to get what you want. So you take that point and you move forward. I think out of the two, I think the United game was the most important one to win. The United game was the most important because we were hearing smoke from them.
Yeah,
they were talking about knocking Palace off, knocking us off, and then being in a title race.
Yeah.
London is the deathbed of so many teams. So many teams get buried in London. Crystal Palace obviously take a point. And you know what? We were giving gifts away, weren't we? We were giving gifts away. We didn't play particularly well to start the game. And there's no slight on Rashford because I think Rashford scored an absolute banger of a goal. But you know what, Soph? This Arsenal team will not be denied. They have the balls. They have the audacity. They have the tenacity. And you know what? They have the fan base behind them. The Emirates. So many people have said they've never heard it like that. I mean, when United scored, all I could hear in the background was Arsenal. The fans getting behind the team. So this gives the boys so much power and a lift. It really is incredible. The fans are playing their part, which is special.
So you're 100% on. I was at the game yesterday. It was intense. You could feel the stress at some points in that first half with the fan base who've been so exceptionally noisy this season against the Manchester United side, where I almost feel, Kev, you know, the away game to Tottenham is, of course, massive, but this home game against Manchester United, everybody wanted to win it. They didn't want to give them not 1 cent of a point from this. And I could feel the tension in the air. When Rashford scored, you're right, they went nuts. And let me just tell you about away fans. I've experienced a lot of them, as have you. Manchester United fans are just in a moment. They're never in the moment over a long period of time. And I've been there with Villa games, Fulham games, Newcastle games. Like, their fans are in the game constantly from the beginning to the very end. And I felt that when I was at Old Trafford earlier this season, when they beat us 3-1 and we deserved to win that game, and we didn't. And we learned a lot of lessons from that. But they were only in that game when they scored their goals. Our fans are in the game. You bring up a brilliant point. They're in the game all the time now. It doesn't matter whether you're winning or losing, you concede or whatever happens, positive or negative, they are with this team. And a good friend of the show, Alan Alger, posted, he said he's never seen it like this at the final whistle. And even Jeff Arsenal, who's been, who was a Wenger guy, all of these people, old and new, Generation X, Generation Z, Alphas, they're coming together for the love of the Arsenal. And I was there yesterday, and the beautiful part, Kev, was you've been a player walking around after a win. The Tottenham win was massive against Manchester United, the most decorated team in the Premier League, with all the noise around everything, hearing Neville week in, week out. It felt like we just sucked it to them, and I loved every second of it. I didn't even leave until like 45 minutes after the final whistle.
Yeah, it had that. Do you know what, Soph? I don't know if you got that feeling when both teams walked out. It had that feeling of like the old days.
Oh yeah.
This was a titanic battle. Manchester United under Ten Hag, they've improved. That's for sure. This team we played yesterday is better than the team we lost to up here. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It just had that two titans going at it. No team wanted to give anything. Rashford scored an absolute banger, like I said. And you know what? Done that, give it that celebration. And you know what? Ain't it great
so
to
edgy.
see Saka? Ain't it great to see Saka? You're doing it on my manner. Stop it. 2-1 goes over. That's what it's about. Obviously, we're 2-1 up. Eddie scores the first, which the movement was like Ian Wright. Just ghosted in, headed it in. Saka with an absolute banger in the bottom corner. And look, we kind of messed up. Ramsdale got a hand to it, didn't quite deal with it as bad. But, I put that down to, a little bit of nerves and a little bit of, because they were crowding him normally. They were crowding him. So he tried to deal with it. But I've got to say, Martinez, that finish was unbelievable. He had to get under it and loop it. And Gabriel just couldn't keep it out. And then we're at the crossroads, Soph. And this is the beautiful thing about this Arsenal side. It's 2-2. Next goal wins it, doesn't it? Next goal wins. We dominated the second half mostly. We dominated. But we needed to get that winner. And you know what? I've got to give Mikel Arteta some credit. Changing Ben White at halftime was a good move. Tomiyasu never got any credit as far as I'm concerned. Rashford is a handful for anybody this season. He kept him as quiet as you can. I think he had one shot in the second half, which was saved by Ramsdale, which took a deflection. But apart from that, Rashford was nullified. And then bringing Trossard on, you saw what Trossard can do. He's different to Martinelli. Martinelli and the battle with Aaron Wan-Bissaka was a good battle. But Trossard's just got a little bit more cuteness about him. He's got a little bit more cuteness. And you could see the way he attacked Wan-Bissaka.
Tell people what you mean about the cuteness, Kev, because I know, like, when he came on, the energy, and when Zinny grabbed him as well, and he had a word before he came on and everything. But
it's just he's more experienced, so he knows his way around the box better than Martinelli does. That's all. So getting into pockets to receive it, how he uses the ball is very important. And as I was going to allude to, for Eddie's goal, the way Trossard attacks Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Aaron Wan-Bissaka had problems because he attacked him on the inside to release Zinchenko on the outside. So Wan-Bissaka has to go with the ball. He releases Zinchenko, which wasn't offside. Ball gets cut back. Erdegaard comes in, clips it, and Eddie's there because he missed a chance. What is it, 5 minutes before that? Which we thought was the winner with his left foot.
Yeah.
Good save by De Gea. But Eddie comes up trumps. Eddie comes up trumps for this Arsenal side. 2 goals. Those 2 boys, Hayland boys who come through the ranks, done the business for the Arsenal last night. And do you know what? What a performance. Some unsung heroes. Granit Xhaka, I thought, had a really, really good game. Aaron Ramsdale, that save, that would have made it very difficult for us. He produces a great save. I thought the 2 centre-backs were fine as well, without being great. But I thought they had solid games. Because you know what, Soph? What chances did Man United really create? They didn't create anything.
In the second half, they didn't create anything.
But even in the first half, what did they really create? There weren't much. And we didn't play well in the first half, I thought, at all. But we strung some bits together and got back in it because we were hungry to press.
I felt like, Kev, our second half against United was like our first half against Tottenham. Like in that second half, I'm going to say, I don't care, like you can tell me off YouTube, but we bitch slapped them. We literally taught them how to play possession football. And I loved every second of it. I dropped my phone. I didn't care about creating videos or content. I just got immersed in watching this team play. And Kev, in that second half, it was masterful. They had a couple of scary opportunities. Maybe there was a save that Ramsdale made. I don't know. Was that in the first or second half that he made this McTominay save? I think it was in the first half. But in that second half, it was just a matter of time. And I know that's been like a narrative, a matter of time.
Yeah, McTominay was in the first half where he bent it and he saved it. But that save down was from Rashford, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And just it was just incredible. Like Odegaard is such a conductor of everything. But yesterday, Kev, I think he had a really great game and once again was a conductor. But I wanted to just start the show. I wanted you to talk to me as a player, all right, about Zinchenko. Because we've been waiting for a player to come to the Arsenal who not only hones his craft, can play in a versatile position, but also he's like a spokesperson on the pitch for Mikel Arteta. He's insane. He's like a leader, a player. This was his heat map. And you told me before the show, check Zinchenko's heat map. This was it against Manchester United. I know that Eddie had a brilliant game and I don't want to overshadow, and we're going to give him some more love in a little bit. But this guy, Kev, talk to me.
Well, to get a player like this, and you know what? So let's be real. A lot of people, when we said 25 million, a lot of people were like, he's a Man City cast-off, if you remember rightly. Mm-hmm. A lot of people showed him a little bit of disrespect. Someone who's got, 4 Premier League titles under his belt. I think they showed a little bit of disrespect towards him. But this guy is a difference maker in our team.
Tell me, Kev.
He is a difference maker in our team. Because not only does he join Thomas Partey at the base of the midfield, I think when you see that heat map, he had the license yesterday to go and express himself further forward because he's so good on the ball. There was times where he was the other side of Thomas Partey on our right and further forward, as you could see. What a player, what a technician. And do you know what? We heard and we saw the pictures. He was a gooner as a kid. You could see it means so much to him. And if anybody listened to his interview, when he came in, he was talking about titles. He wasn't talking about no top 4. And all the players laughed, he said. Said they're not laughing anymore, so. Because everybody's bought in now. Everybody believes him and Jesus coming into the club. Do you reckon these guys are coming into let's just qualify for top 4? These guys are winners. Winners, Soph, which is what we want as fans. We want winners, and it's rubbing off on this young team. It's brilliant, Soph. This guy is brilliant player, and I'm so pleased we got him.
And I love to hear your analysis, especially as like an ex-player, Kev, because as a fan yesterday, one of the things I love about, you can see a lot, when you're at a game, you can focus on one player a lot. And so I kind of took it in chunks just to kind of watch a few players. And Zinchenko in the second half, I just watched him for like 15 minutes. And his movement is insane. His dictatorial, kind of presence is invaluable. The way when Trossard came on and he put his arms around him and got in his ear, incredible. You know how Odegaard is a leader on the pitch, Kev, with how he plays and he's not vocal? It's like Xhaka and Zinchenko are the vocal leaders on that pitch. And then you have Thomas Partey, who's like the general in the midfield. And there's so much to this team now that we just have not had before, Kev.
Well, you think Xhaka, captain of his country, probably vice-captain of Arsenal. Zinchenko, captain of his country. So 2 guys who know what it's like to be captain. And when you're captain of your country or you've been captain, you don't stop being captain. You might not have the armband, but you project, you control. He knows how to control with his voice. Mm-hmm. He knows how to control with his game. Why? Because he's done it so many times. I think of the players who are playing in the Premier League, Zinchenko has, when he's played, he's got the highest rate of winning in the Premier League. That tells us everything. The boy's a winner. So, and you know what? You look at him and you don't think much of him. Because he's not the quickest, he's not the biggest, he's not the, strongest. But boy, so can he play football? Does he have a football brain? Does he dictate? Does he knit things together with his teammates? Oh, yes, he does. Absolute star.
This is what else I love, Kev, is that after Anthony's shenanigans in that first game, that he then had Anthony in his pocket, and Anthony made a couple dirty fouls on him as well. And just to kind of, James Johnson sent this to me earlier today. Zinchenko for Arsenal against Spurs and Manchester United. Most touches, 178. Most passes, 136. Most duels won, 14. Most aerial duels. By the way, how good was he in the air yesterday? Wow.
And last
6.
week.
Yeah, 100% take-ons completed, 100% aerial duels. The dude is a jewel who's great at duels. There's no doubt about it, Kev. What? And someone just wrote in the chat, we stole him. You talk about stealing Partey. You talk about stealing Odegaard. This is another one that we've stolen from Manchester City, and it feels really good that we're able to kind of make that kind of deal and be the team that actually reaps the benefits of that kind of deal.
Well, if you don't forget it, I don't even think we stole him. So I think there was no more room for him at Manchester City, and we just opened our doors. Because you know what? Hey, there's a beautiful spot here for you. And if you remember rightly, many people saying, well, Kieran Tierney's our best left back. Well, I wonder what people are saying now. Kieran Tierney does not influence Arsenal like the way this guy does. He doesn't. He just doesn't. He's a good left back. He's a good left back. But Zinchenko is a different level of player.
And look, for those fans out there who were, you wanted Vlahovic, we got Jesus. You wanted Lisandro Martinez, we got Zinchenko. I think, listen, no one's going to sit here and say Lisandro Martinez isn't a good player, because he is a good player. Yeah. But we also got a good player, and there's no doubt about that, Super Kev. Zinchenko, also a question that's come almost. There's 400 of you in live chat on this Monday.
200 likes, please. Come on.
If you don't do it, you know what happens. Don't get Super Kev pissed. All right, we'll bring Vinny out in a little bit, but we don't think we have to do that at this juncture.
We shouldn't even have to ask.
No,
not today.
And I'm jet lag, tired, and haggard. So please hit the like button, okay? Make me feel a lot better. So Kev, real quickly on Zinchenko. Some fans are writing in and listeners into the Arsenal fans and listeners. He's not a left back. What?
Well, he is.
What is he, Kev? He's a footballer, in my opinion.
He's a footballer. He listen. He starts at left back. He plays left back. He defends as a left back. But when we have possession, he causes the opposition problems because Xhaka doesn't stay as a central holding midfielder. Xhaka gets up the pitch. He becomes an attacker. So who picks Xhaka up? So if their midfielder goes with Xhaka, that creates a big hole in that midfield for Zinchenko and Partey to operate. And most teams, you've got to track your runners. If you don't track him, what happens? We get the ball into Xhaka, and Xhaka starts dictating, like that ball for Eddie, goal. Again, we're asking questions of the opposition. That's the big issue. Not just an up and down left back, a player who can move inside and dictate football matches. And when it breaks down, get back to left back.
It's incredible. He's incredible. He was incredible. I was in awe. I've seen him play a few times now, and I don't know, there was something about yesterday's game that just took it to different levels. I think in that second half, Kev, you've been in those moments and you take us into those player kind of, vibes. It felt like he put the team on his back, even though the team was ready for that second half. There's always a player who can just ignite everything. And I'm not saying the other players didn't step up, because they all did. It was incredible. But it felt like when we needed that energy and that push through the middle or on that left side, he put the team on his back. And
when you consider, we're not playing against a mediocre team. We're playing against a in-form Manchester United. Many people were saying, well, we need to speak about Man United being in the title race before the Palace game, Soph, remember? Mm-hmm. You were saying you were worried about Man United. And I could understand why you were worried. Because this still is a huge game for both teams. Still a huge game for us. And they would think nothing of putting a spoke in our wheel, stopping us moving forward.
And Kev, let's not fool ourselves. This was I know they beat us in the summer, but let me tell you something. They were so organized yesterday. You tell me. They as good as they've been, they haven't been tested the Arsenal quality yet. And you saw at that first hurdle, they failed. And you could argue that definitely one of our goals, one was brilliant. Rashford, Thomas Partey gave the ball away, then he got skinned, and Rashford, credit to him, it was a beautiful finish. As a striker, I think you would agree with that. The 100%. Second goal, absolute shambles and a mistake from a goalkeeper who actually saved us the week prior. And still yesterday, he made some really good saves. But this is a Manchester United team that is a shadow of the Solskjaer era, Kev. I mean, they're so much better. And I think we need to give our team a lot of credit because, like Newcastle, they came to play a certain way. And in the end, it bit them in the butt. Against Newcastle, we just didn't have that cutting edge in the final third to make that difference.
Yeah. And you know what? Just a little bit of extra time De Gea took for that so-called injury, when he went down.
Oh, my God, Kev. How embarrassing was that?
Right. So he went down and it was like, what are you doing? And he went down, he's holding his shoulder and all. Well, that came back to bite them because in that time, that was probably the little bit of extra time that we needed to see him off. And thank you, David De Gea. That was great. Do you know what, Soph? It would have been easy for us to get frustrated, but we didn't. We kept playing. We kept playing. We kept playing. And you're right, Zinchenko, he put us on his back because he knew what we needed. And smart play by Trossard to release him at the right time.
We're going to get to him.
History.
We're going to get to him. Right, Kev. I want to get to you get more in depth on this, right? So on this show, we've both talked about how long-term he's probably not the answer. And it's still short-term for me because how many games has he played now in lieu of Jesus? If he keeps this up, I think, he's got England calling and all sorts. As a striker, take me into the mind of Eddie Nketiah, who I was so happy for yesterday for him to be one of the heroes and get the winning goal. Continues to work his arse off on the pitch. He did it against Newcastle. He did it against Tottenham. Didn't have the finishing touch in those two matches, Kev. But yesterday, Eddie pulled off a bit of a Campbell and a righty.
Yeah, but isn't that just a striker's lot? Last week, he does everything but score. This week, he's the difference maker. Brings us back into the game with the first goal with a fantastic bit of movement and a header. Striker's lot, 2-2, misses a great chance. Everyone thinks, oh no. And then all of a sudden, last minute, pops up with the winner, Soph, just to guide it past De Gea in the right place. Makes a massive difference. Scored 2 goals. And do you know what, Sophie? We've questioned it. Of course we have. Because we weren't sure. Because we haven't seen enough of Eddie week in, week out to say we're going to be all right. But Esperota or Sperota, you're right. It's undeniable now. Eddie is doing the business, Soph. He's got my trust now. And it's not as if he's scoring against less teams and he's playing poorly against the big teams. He's playing well against Manchester United. Biggest game of the season so far. He comes up with a brace. Saka played well. We had good performances. At times we weren't at our best, Sophie. But what does that tell you about our team? We don't need to be at our best to win. We don't need to. Because certain players step up. And Eddie stepped up yesterday. And I'm proud of him, Soph. I am so proud of him.
Well said, Kev. And I am too. And I've said on the show, I want him to continually make a fool out of me. I thought he was... us. I thought he was brilliant yesterday. Sorry I put the Zinny picture up while we were talking about Eddie. Just got a little bit too excited there.
All right. We don't mind Zinny being...
No, we don't mind Zinny. But look at his face in all of these. I love this picture, Kev. This one in particular. And then he's doing the righty bit here, which I love. And then look, he's got the eye of the tiger. And look at him. He looks like a man. We've seen those transitional pictures of him working out and everything. And I know as a striker, like you've wanted nothing more than to see him like reach whatever the potential is that Arteta has seen in him and believed in him that maybe, again, some of us have not. And I love how fans, and even in our chat room, everyone is so happy for him that Eddie's like coming of age, 2 goals, stepping into a high pressure situation where the Arsenal were trying to win the championship for the first time in however many years. Their number 1 guy goes down, and everyone's looking at you as though, oh my God, you're going to be the problem. But he's become the solution, Kev. How long do you think that he can be this solution? Does Arteta keep rolling the Eddie dice, and if Jesus comes back fit and Eddie's still producing and scoring a goal a game, it's Jesus' job to get his job back, isn't it?
Exactly, Soph. I'll be honest with you. Jesus doesn't get back in this team yet. We can afford for Jesus to take his time and come back in slowly but surely. We don't need to rush him back because now we've got cover. We know Trossard could play up there. We've got Eddie there who's smashing it. Jesus, make sure you're ready when you come back. We don't need to go crazy, Soph. And isn't that a beautiful thing? That's a beautiful thing for Arsenal because what we thought was going to be our Achilles heel is actually pretty strong now. Isn't it amazing? And you know what, Soph? We have to give credit where credit is due. Mikel Arteta and Edu stuck to their guns, believed in Eddie, brought Trossard in. Trossard comes on, make a difference. Eddie was the match winner. Amazing.
So, Kev, what I really loved is, and by the way, well done, everyone. You've got us to 200. Our chief like officer now, Tammy, wants 250 because there's 500 of you in live chat right now. So, you know, she's up the stakes and
hit
she's
the like
doing
button.
Good
Come
work.
on, guys.
Kev, what I loved as well is in the Newcastle game, we were talking in our post-game analysis about how Mikel didn't really feel he had answers off the bench, right? And in this game, talk about answers off the bench. And there are 2. And I think it's really important that we single out a player who lost his spot from a position, but has proven once again his value to the team. When he first came on in the second half, Kev, he made a couple of dodgy tackles. He gave the ball away a little bit. And I kind of panicked. And I'm like, oh, no, is this going to be another one of those situations where we feel from the starting 11 it's a downgrade? No, don't think like that. I love Tommy. But Kev, as a player, talk to me. You're coming in. He's not exactly hot. He made a few errant passes. But I felt like he put Rashford in his pocket after the first 10 minutes.
Well, he has to try and get up to the speed of the game. That's always the issue when you're a sub. You've got to try and get up to the speed of the game and into the game as quickly as you can. For attackers, sometimes it's easier than defenders. But, you know, because we dominate the ball so much, he has to do it probably in possession. Took him a bit of time. But once he got going, Soph, hey, listen, we didn't really see Rashford after that. As I said, he had one chance where he went down the left, cut inside again, took a shot, deflected off Saliba, I think it was, and Ramsdale saved. But apart from that, Tomiyasu shut him down. And remember when he came on against Brighton, everyone was like, Tomiyasu, you know, he looks out of it. But he was just really coming back. He was trying to find his feet. Now he's fit. He's been training, been playing, etc. Now he's fit. He's good to go. And we need our squad. We're gonna have to use our squad. Everyone, I tell you, we're gonna have to use our squad moving forward because Tomiyasu has got a big part to play in this team. I'm telling you, he has.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Okay, Kev. So then Trossard came on, and you could feel the energy in the stadium. We needed that extra lift. Martinelli had a really good game. I thought Martinelli and Wan-Bissaka was the most fascinating battle on the pitch, to be honest with you. And I'm going to give credit where it's due. I thought Wan-Bissaka did a really good job of nullifying Martinelli and his ability. He gave him the space to run towards him, but he never gave him a lot to get past him, if I'm being fair to Wan-Bissaka. And I thought that other than Rashford in that first half, I thought he was probably their best player. But then Trossard comes on and there's nothing more you want. This is what we were screaming for against Newcastle, someone who can come on and have an impact. He was, for me, the energy that we needed, and he gave that pass in the third goal. He had that moment where his quick feet were on evidence with the 4 Man United players around him. I thought that he looked lively and he looked like he wanted to be there, and he contributed greatly when he came on. When you talk about an impact substitution, I thought that we got that right off the bat from him last night.
Yeah, I think we did. I think it was the right substitution at the right time. I think the Arsenal fans level went up again when he came on, because it's a new player. We want to see him. We want to see him do well. And to be fair to him, he didn't look overawed at all, did he?
No,
he came
he
on, Don Juan showing his experience. He's an experienced player, very good feet on him, and a clever footballer. Yet another one who's a clever footballer. And when we needed that to work with Zinchenko going on the outside, when it really mattered, Trossard played the right pass at the right time so we could get him behind Wan-Bissaka, cut the ball back. Rest is history. Ball goes from Odegaard towards Eddie. Eddie just taps it in. 3-2. Emirates goes absolutely mental. And a win we deserved. And if you could see, you look at a lot of the pundits now. It's Arsenal's to lose now. They really wanted Man United to turn us over, let me tell you. They really did want Man United to turn us over. But this Arsenal team won't be denied, Soph. They won't be denied. We end up winning the game 3-2. You know what? It's a huge win for us as well, because Manchester City, Haaland and Manchester City, just beforehand, go and do the business and put the ball back in our court, don't they? All right, Arsenal. It's down to 2 points. We know you've got 2 games in hand, but you play Man United, who beat us the other week. So, let's see if Man United could do us a favour. No favours at the Emirates.
No favours. You're watching the Highbury Squad. It's Monday Madness. 550 of you in live chat. We've got Super Kevin Campbell here giving us that player beyond the white lines perspective on the Arsenal-Manchester United game. Kiss, hug, like, nut, but that like button. Slide in.
Slot it in.
Slide in like Saliba, or head it like Gabriel. By the way, Kev, when they were asked to come into play yesterday, not really the type of game where we're going to laud them as much. But when they had to come into play, they did. Do you think, real quick, were the defence at fault for any of our... How did you see our 2 goals? The first one, I think, was Thomas Partey. The second one was on Ramsdale. Are we in agreement on that?
Yeah, there's nothing the defence could do about them, to be fair. Rashford's shot was, 25 yards? When someone's shooting from that distance, if they get it right, and it was a fantastic shot, it beat Ramsdale for pace. And what a finish that was. Second one was just a melee in the box. Ramsdale should have probably punched it, if I'm honest with you, because if you can't catch it, you punch it out. But didn't get enough on the ball. I thought it was a really good finish by Martinez. But these are the high-stakes games we want, so... a few mistakes will happen. We're not going to go through and be totally flawless. But it just makes it even sweeter when we win in the last minute. So
it does, Kev. And I just had to try and find a way to bring up Gabriel and Saliba, just because I wanted to show these pictures.
Oh, I like that.
I love that so much. And he did that a lot in the game. And I love this one. This one that I'm about to show you guys, the next one, reminds me of the Old Trafford game with the Ruud van Nistelrooy missed penalty. I love this so much. This is what I love about this team. Like, look at us. We're not intimidated. We are intimidating others. And I just love how... we've got this physicality about us now too, Kev, that you've talked about for so long that we've been lacking.
Yeah, look, a lot of people at times, probably thought I was like a broken record talking about we cross that white line. You know, the manager can only talk a little bit when he's on the sideline. He goes up and down like a yo-yo, doesn't he? He's constantly making his art. But you've got to sort it out on the pitch. And you've got to sort the opposition out on the pitch when need be. Now that we've got it, Sophie, look at those sides that we had beforehand when everybody's saying, oh, they're all right. They weren't all right. We weren't all right as a football team. We weren't all right as a group. We weren't all right as a football club beforehand. This just goes to show a manager, he can prepare the team, but the team have to go out there and dive the plan. They've got to sort things out when you're on the pitch. And centre-backs, we've got centre-backs. Listen, let's be honest. We weren't really in any bother, yet we conceded 2 goals. Why? Because maybe at the Emirates, we love to attack. We love to attack so much. The opposition can catch us from time to time, but it's all right because you know what? The way we play, especially the second half, the tempo, teams cannot live with us. You see Ten Hag starting to put Fred on, take forwards off and put Fred on, and he's starting to get defensive because he knows we can't even get out. We can't get out. Arsenal are coming wave after wave after wave after wave after wave. So, listen, we deserve that because we kept playing.
Yeah, we did. Don't wonder we were nervous, Kev. I think there was a point in the first half that maybe, but we equalised within 5 minutes. We didn't allow the nerves to get to us, Kev. I don't think so.
We weren't nervous. I think the way we started the game, it's not always going to start like a house on fire sometimes. We had stray passing and everything, but it weren't nerves. We just weren't playing well. As soon as we address that and we start finding the red shirt, keep the ball moving. Zinchenko started to come more into midfield, take more pressure off. He's a baller, getting on the ball, passing it, making sure we keep it. Second half, total domination. And, you look at the stats of the game. If you don't know the score and you look at the stats of the game, you would say Arsenal win by a mile. You wouldn't say it was 3-2. But that's football, isn't it?
I think it was football. 60. Was it 63 touches or 67?
In the opposition box.
In the opposition box.
The most of the season by anybody. We're balling. Telling you.
Yeah. All right, we're going to get Kev out on a couple of these as well. Kev, we have to talk about the star boy. I think it's his best half in an Arsenal shirt. I felt yesterday, and I said this to my cousin George, I said, Saka played like a man today. He played like a man. And in the end, he said to Rashford, no, like you said earlier in the show, you are not taking the limelight off me in my house. And these 2 boys, what a joy after all the money we've spent, after all the players who've come in, after all, the 2 players that won the game in the end were the 2 Arsenal boys. But Kev, I want you to focus on Saka for now. That finish as a striker, that was sublime. He was sublime. Talk to me.
Well, I think Saka, you talk about a half, I thought Saka was giving Luke Shaw the run around all game. Luke Shaw got a little bit physical with him at times. I think that's why Mikel Arteta ended up getting booked. The ref couldn't wait to book him, could he? Run over, booked him straight away. But second half, when we started to dominate, after scoring that goal, the way he shifted the ball and then shifted it again and bent it in the bottom corner with power and pace, and then put Rashford in his play. What's all that? What are you talking about, mate? Not here. Not in my house. And he drove the team forward. He made Manchester United have to adjust their game. He made them have to bring Fred on to help out Luke Shaw, England left back, to help him. Because Luke Shaw, he didn't know what was going on at times.
He was dizzy.
He was dizzy. He probably had nightmares last night of Saka. I'll be honest with you. I'll be really honest with you. So, again, Bukayo Saka, he's world class, Soph. Arsenal fans get used to it. He's world class. That boy's world class.
I mean,
He's
if
done it at a
Mudryk,
World Cup. He's done it at a World Cup, Soph. He's done it at the Euros. Now, he's been player of the season for 2 seasons at Arsenal. He's had the World Cup late last year. He's come back, and we're like, let's see what type. Now we're stepping his levels up.
And yeah, he was so excellent, and everything about that performance it felt like a Mr. Arsenal moment. Here's the player that has saved us for the 2 seasons previous. So young. I mean, I agree. A few of our listeners in chat, Kev, have been saying that Saka feels like almost one of the players of the Premier League so far this season. I think certainly he and Odegaard are up there and are worthy to be up there in the top of the top of the list.
Partey, Saliba, Gabriel. You're talking 5 players. Xhaka, 6. We're top of the league for a reason, guys. We are top of the league for a reason. We've got players playing excellent football across the board.
So, Kev, if Mudryk is worth 100 million, how much is Saka worth?
He's not worth anything because he's not for sale. He's not worth anything. I am not putting any price on that boy. We done that last season. We said, 75, 80 million.
No
He's
way.
not for sale. I don't care. I'll give you an open check. Not interested. Not interested, Soph. I don't even want to have the conversation. I'm telling you. He's not for sale. And you know what? Arsenal, get that contract ready because he needs to sign the thing.
This is a proper let's sign the thing. Like
all of them, all 3 of these youngsters, these boys, it will get done, Soph. It will get done. All of them will sign because you let any one of these go, you're kidding yourself. You've got them in you've got them in your building. No chance. You sign them up.
Brilliant stuff. Okay, so then Kev, once again, we've beaten Liverpool, we've beaten Chelsea, beaten Tottenham, beaten Manchester City. We've beaten teams that beat us last season.
City yet.
No,
City yet.
Manchester United. Sorry. Maybe I'm just Sophstradamus predicting the future. We've beaten teams that we lost to last season, Kev. We've lost 1 game all season. These 2 managers, you've got to give Ten Hag credit for what he's doing at Manchester United. I think it's evident that they're getting better. Removing Ronaldo the same way Arteta removed Aubameyang, their squads just became more together and stronger. But Mikel Arteta yesterday, Kev, what's your take? One of the things that was coming out in the social sphere was how Arteta is mastering his substitutions even better. Of course, the starting 11 dictates itself, but what are you seeing yourself as the game goes and how he's managing that process, especially in that last 25 minutes?
Well, when the team win, you're a genius. Aren't you? That's the difference. When the team win, you're a genius. Don't forget, against Newcastle, it was, why didn't you make any substitutions? Because he didn't trust anyone enough to come off the bench and make a real difference. Now, he had 2 players who he needed to rely on. Tomiyasu came on to quell the Rashford threat. He done that. And when it needed that little bit of spark, when it kind of maybe leveled out just a touch of us attacking, Trossard came on, got people off their feet, and just that footballing brain that Trossard has and the link up with Zinchenko paid dividends. So, again, it's fantastic man management by Arteta. He's made the difference. He's brought the players on, and he's got us over the line. So that's what managers could be called foolish if it backfires, but that's management for you. Mm-hmm. You've got to be able to trust who you're bringing on to do the business. And he done it, and he got it right. This is what happens when you trust the players crossing that white line.
I thought in particular the substitution of Benny, I agree with Yanto here at half-time, Kev, was very brave. But yeah, no risk, no reward, and also sensible decision-making considering that he was on a yellow card. We can't afford to lose Benjamin White. Wasn't having the best game. Maybe he was feeling unwell. We don't know. But then to make that decision, simple for him, really, if he's thinking, I can just bring Tomiyasu on. For us fans, we're sitting there, and because Benjamin White's been so good, Kev, you kind of worry about it. But a very half-time substitutions, never easy, and not ones that managers do often or take lightly. So,
Listen,
that.
Ben White was we didn't start the game particularly well, and he got booked early. And there was a couple of fouls he'd done on Rashford. One was he didn't even touch him really, and he went down, and that just puts it in the ref's mind. He's not going to get away with that in the second half. And you could imagine Man United are going to play a lot more down that side because Ben White can't tackle him. He can't touch him. You make the wrong touch, he's going to go. So good man management to take him off. You've got somebody there who you trust, who can get physical with Rashford, who's quick as well, who could run with him. And let's be honest, apart from one action, really, Rashford weren't really involved how we would like in the second half.
Yeah, no, I agree with Greek Commander. It felt like, they talked about Benjamin's back and stuff. We don't know, but it looked like he was a bit off yesterday. You're right. He just wasn't his usual self. All right. So we've talked about Zinchenko. We've talked about Saka. We've talked about Eddie. We've talked about the gaffer. I loved seeing Odegaard have another great game and just wipe the floor with Manchester United's captain Fernandes, who is probably, other than Anthony and Richarlison, the most annoying and unlikable footballers on the planet. Super Kev. What else is your takeaway that I may not have asked you about yesterday's game? One for me is the continual ability to overcome adversity. And the mental attitude that I've asked for a long time, and also said that we're going to win and lose this league, or that first position in the mental stakes. What's your big takeaway that maybe we haven't talked about?
After the first half, which weren't great from Thomas Partey, second half I thought he was outstanding, and probably the one thing we haven't touched on, there was one break in the second half where Anthony broke down our right-hand side.
Oh, I know where you're going.
And we needed somebody to get there. Gabriel kind of was out of position. He's got legs, but where did Thomas Partey get them legs from? So
I don't know.
He shot over there and dealt with the situation. It was a corner for them, but where he came from the middle of the pitch, right across into our left back spot, and sorted it out. Again, sometimes he's given a lot of praise for his forward passing and the way he plays going forward. But that defensive side of things, I thought, second half he was excellent. Didn't need to do as much going forward because Zinchenko came in and was taking care of that. But I thought defensively, breaking things up, tracking runners, I thought he was excellent second half.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he had some poor touches again, like the Tottenham game, Kev. But what he does to make up for that is ridiculous. And we didn't get away with one of them because Rashford scored. But, I just felt like he was a bit cheap with the ball as well, as good as he was. Is that fair?
Well, first half, 100%. I think it was, we were a bit, not nervous, but we just wanted to play too fast. Balls were coming into us when we really could take a touch. But we were trying to play one touch too quick. Take your time. Get it, pass it, move. Get it, pass it, move. As soon as we kind of settled down and started playing, 1-0 down, we got back into it. Second half, though, was total domination. It was total domination. So, again, after the first half, I look at players. How do you adjust for the second half? You might not have played well first half. How do you adjust? We adjusted very, very well second half. And when you can batter a team like Manchester United, wave after wave after wave after wave after wave of attacks, that just goes to show. And you're not playing at your best.
No, we weren't.
We weren't playing at our best. We can play much better. And this is, you see, so this is the thing. This Arsenal team's ceiling is moving. We don't play well, and we beat probably the form team, along with Newcastle. Manchester United come into town. They're a form team, and we take them out. Not playing our best. That just goes to show we've got so much scope to do so well. And you know what? We're going to be at the big boss soon. You know, when you get to the end of the game and you got the big boss. The big boss is Man City. We know that. And it's going to be an interesting one Friday because we're going to mix and match the team. We want to go there and win. Of course we do.
I'm going to be at that game, Kev.
I'm actually doing it for Sky. I'm in the studio.
So you're going to, I'm actually coming up to Manchester and you're going to be in London.
I'm in London, yeah. You're up here and I'm down there. Ain't that typical, Soph? So I'm doing that on the Friday and doing, I've got FA Cup thing to do on the Saturday in London.
All right.
So I'm down there. But this is a good test for us and them.
Yeah.
Because you know what? If you're a player, you want to play in it. You want to play in it. All the big boys wants to play in it. But I think Mikel's going to mix and match it. I really do.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll see what happens. We're going to talk about Jakub on another show with Kev. I know that that is imminent in terms of being announced.
No, it's announced. It's done.
It's done. Okay. So that has been announced. So we'll get stuck into that on another show. And we're really both super stoked that Trossard was a signing that the club acted on immediately after losing out on Modric. And as we've seen and said many times on this show, you sign a Premier League player who's ready to come in and affect the game immediately and contribute to the team. And that is exactly what he is. We're very excited about Jakub Janto, so we're going to get stuck into that on another show. In the meantime, wow, the Arsenal continue to prove people wrong. People like Richard Keys can eat their words. Even Jim White, who last week was insinuating that Aaron Ramsdale was inciting the crowd. Gary Neville, Kev, if I don't ask you this question, they're going to shoot me. But Gary Neville continues to say Manchester City will win the league, and he's every right to have that opinion. Maybe it's just the way he says it to deliberately dig on the Arsenal. A final word from you on that before we close the show.
He's right, isn't he? He's right. Man City are going to win the league. Don't know what everybody's moaning about. Man City have got it in the bag, Soph. No problem. We'll see.
Take us out, Super Kev.
Well, listen, we'll see. Always remember, Gooners, let me tell you this, squaddies. Nobody wants us to win a free kick, let alone win the league. Some of the people are starting to believe it. A lot of the people don't want to believe it. But you know what? We've earned the right to be 5 points clear, 50 points in the Premier League with a game in hand. So we are all we've got, Gooners, squaddies. It's us against the world. So let them bring everything to us. We just keep moving it aside. Because you know what? We've got the team, we've got the manager, we've got the club, we've got the fan base, all moving in the right direction. And when the Gooners move in the right direction, we're unstoppable. So, on that note, look after yourselves. Tell your loved ones you love them. And from me and Sophie, who's in the smoke? At ease, squaddies.
Thanks, Rick, for the scarf.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.